UFC Fighters versus Animals Part 2. We're going to be predicting fights against fighters versus animals, analyzing them, and see who's going to win. So let's get in the first one. Max Holloway versus a Boar. And this is a really tough fight for both guys. I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So, because the Boar can actually be from 170 to 220 pounds, so pretty big guy. He's going to be bigger than Holloway in the octagon. He's going to have an intimidating presence, and plus he's just a wild animal, right? It's going to be super tough for a guy like Holloway to deal with something like this. And what Holloway does is he's the volume guy, right? You're going to have to ask yourself, is this Boar going to even care about volume? Like, does this Boar even feel getting punched? Like, it has thick skin. Is this Boar really going to be affected by the volume of Holloway? And that's a tough question that we're going to have to ask ourselves. And so Max is going to have the height and reach advantage. You know, the Boar is a pretty short guy, 2.1 to 4.1 feet tall. It is possible maybe for Max to get on the side and possibly like tip over the Boar, but I mean that would be kind of tricky to do. And plus from there, it's like, what do you do from there? Do you get like a leg lock? Because you're not going to choke this guy out. Like, look at his neck, dude. So tipping him over could be a potential strategy for Holloway. But these guys are quick. They can run up to 25 miles an hour. So he's going to be a fast mover in the octagon. And they can actually jump way high. I did not expect this, dude. They can jump 59 inches high. That's pretty significant, right? I don't know how much the Boar's going to be utilizing that in the octagon. But I mean, that's just like a scare factor, right? Like, if you're fighting this guy, then he jumps in the air like a decent height. That's going to be scary as hell, man. So that's something that Holloway needs to look out for. And we do have some training footage from their camp, so let's check that out real quick. So here we go, we see these guys are kind of wrestling, you know, in the clinch, and you can see how aggressive they are, dude. Like, these guys are mean and aggressive, but here's the thing, and you're gonna see it in a second. Yeah, right here. These animals, they'll be super aggressive for like 10 seconds, and then they're just gonna completely forget what they're doing. Like, look at these guys. These guys are dumb as fuck. These guys have no idea what they're doing. And that's something Max should be able to take advantage of, right? He's going to have a very difficult time in the initial onslaught with the, you know, right here, when they're doing this, when they're being aggressive, trying to push you, trying to bite you, trying to claw you. You know, these guys will have gloves. You know, this is in an octagon, so they're not going to be able to really scratch and cut Holloway that way, you know? And, you know, in UFC, biting is banned, but we're going to have to allow it here, right? Because that's, like, his primary offense, so he is available to bite Holloway. And you're just going to have to ask yourself, can Holloway survive the initial aggression of the Boar and then get the Boar to the point where he's just kind of standing around? Like here? Because eventually the Boar's going to do that in the octagon, and then Holloway can take advantage of that. He can do what he wants. He can try to tip him over, maybe get some pitter-patter shots just to win by points. But I think if Holloway wins, I think it's going to be very hard for Holloway to finish this fight. A Boar is tough, and I don't see how you're going to TKO it. It would be very tough to submit, super dangerous to submit. You can't choke it. I mean, sure, you can try like an arm bar or leg lock, but that's about it. And you're not cold knocking out the Boar if you're Holloway. Your best plan here is to probably win by points, which survive the initial onslaught, you know, keep the distance, and then when the Boar is distracted, just kind of get some like measly little punches in there and kicks in there. And, you know, can Holloway do it though? I don't think he can. I have the Boar by third round TKO. And let me explain, right? I think Max is going to be winning until he's not, but you just can't make any mistakes with the Boar. It's kind of like Ilia Topuria, man. Like, you know, you can be winning against him, but if he lands that one shot, you're going out cold. And the Boar here, Max is going to be winning by points going into the third round, right? But not too much damage on either side, right? I think he can defend the Boar's initial aggression at first, but keeping that up for 5 rounds is going to be pretty difficult. And I think at some point, the Boar is just going to bite him and really hurt him, and then it's probably going to be counted as a TKO. So I do have the Boar by third round TKO. But the next fight we have Alex Pereira versus a Jaguar. Super interesting matchup here. And some of the Jaguar stats. They can weigh between 120 and 210 pounds, so Pereira would definitely have the weight advantage in the octagon. They have a top speed of 50 miles an hour, so these guys are fast cats. They'll be in the octagon, and they're going to be probably the aggressor because they're so fast, and Pereira is probably going to be on the defense most of the time. And they can leap up to 10 feet high. So this is a super dangerous task for Pereira, and he's going to have to be super cautious going into this. Yeah, but just a note, this is in an octagon with 5 rounds, so the Jaguar will have gloves, so if the Jaguar cannot scratch and like cut open Pereira super easily, which that does make it a much more fair fight for Pereira. And we do have some fight footage from the Jaguar's corner. So look at these guys, when they attack, I'm gonna replay that. Watch, he kind of pulls guard. Look at that, he jumps at you and he kind of like lays on his back like a Charles Oliveira, just inviting you, hey, come on, come grapple with me. And I think that's a super intelligent game plan, especially against a guy like Pereira, the kickboxer, who you should grapple with him. These Jaguars might be smarter than Pereira's last 3 opponents because they're actually trying to involve the grappling, right? And look, the other Jaguar does it too, just watch. Like, look at that attack, it's like you throw like a solid right hand, then kind of lay down and be like, yeah, come get some, come down, let's grapple with me. And if the if the Jaguar can actually involve the grappling, I think that's going to be a really dangerous element for Pereira. You don't want to grapple with the Jaguar, right? So the Jaguar has a very good game plan going in, which that might be a solid factor on his side. But it's the thing about these animals that you see, they're tough, they're scary, but they just don't have the fight IQ of an Alex Pereira. Like, look at these guys, they just kind of get distracted and just go relax after doing whatever they're doing, right? So I personally think that Pereira is going to be able to take advantage of this, right? So Pereira needs to survive the initial onslaught, right? And then eventually the Jaguar will probably get a little bit distracted. And then Pereira, the Jaguar's face, Pereira can just do a leg kick and kick his face. He doesn't even have to set up a high kick. And we know how good Pereira's leg kicks are, or calf kicks. And so that's why I have Pereira by first round KO. I think the Jaguar's going to come out strong. Pereira might get bitten a little bit, he might get hurt, but I think he's going to be able to survive and eventually just knock out the Jaguar because its face is a perfect setup for getting knocked out, for getting kicked in the face by Pereira. It can't even really defense, it can't like put up their hands or anything really, so it's still a dangerous fight for Pereira because after all, it's a Jaguar, and we saw him pulling guard, you never know what he's going to do in the octagon, but I have Pereira winning this. The next fight, Pantoja versus 2 African wild dogs. And African wild dogs, they can be 35 to 50 pounds, and the reason I put 2 here is because they typically fight in packs, so I feel like this would make it a lot more fair of a fight, because if it's just 1 African wild dog, I think Pantoja clears that pretty easily. So we have 2 of them. They can run at 44 miles an hour. These are fast guys. And yes, they fight in packs, and we do have some more training footage from their camp. So here we go. Just look at the way they have great coordination. Now this is a lot of them, right? There's only going to be 2 here. But you can just see what Pantoja is going to have to deal with in the octagon. They're literally wild dogs. And can he do it? I think Pantoja's best game plan going into this fight would be to try to target 1 dog at a time, And the thing about this is you can't really grapple 1 dog, because then the other dog is going to be free to bite you. So this fight is going to have to stay on the feet for Pantoja. He's a fast, nimble guy, but these dogs are faster. They have the coordination. They're used to fighting in packs, okay? They don't have to train specifically for this, they've done this a million times before. This is how they live. And for that reason, I have the African wild dogs by 2nd round TKO. I think Pantoja can hold them off for a little bit, but these guys are also incredibly, incredibly durable. And it's hard for me to justify saying that Pantoja is going to beat these 2 guys when he can't grapple with one of them, and these guys are super durable. Sure, you can hit him with kicks, but that also is going to leave him vulnerable to to the other dog. You know, he can't attack two at one time really. These guys can come from multiple angles, and I feel like this is just a losing situation for Pantoja. But let me know if you agree or just disagree. Who do you think would win? Maybe I'm wrong on this one. Maybe I'm wrong on all of them.